The Oklahoma Sooners are hitting the transfer portal really hard now for wide receivers, especially after they found out that they were going to lose Marvin Mims to the draft. And they've got another decent wide receiver today coming in for a visit. And we kind of got to talk about it, break it down, and talk about again, who else could they be going in the portal to go after in terms of wide receiver? But before we do that, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments below. Who do you guys think the Oklahoma Sooners need to take out of the transfer portal at the wide receiver position? Okay, so today the Oklahoma Sooners are getting a visit from the 6'2", 185-pound wide receiver Andrel Anthony out of East Lansing, Michigan, who is in the transfer portal from his school, the University of Michigan, the Wolverines. And when you look at what Andrel is, again, he's a guy that can be a Power 5 starter for a lot of teams. He has a long, thin frame, very smooth. He's a pretty natural athlete. He can really just change directions pretty quickly. And when you watch his film from the time that he was at Michigan, and he didn't have a lot, so I'm not going to lie and say he did. In 2022, this year, he had 7 receptions for 80 yards, 1 touchdown. And then in 2021, he had 12 receptions for 248 yards, 3 touchdowns. So one of the things I notice here is the kid's got a big average, right? When he catches the ball, he gets yards after the catch. And he's obviously a target in the end zone. So I think that's definitely a plus because with Marvin Mims, you're losing about 5 to 7 touchdowns a year. So you definitely got to try to make up production in that part of the game. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know if I take him over some of the other guys that have been here, especially Tyrone Broden, the 6'7" wide receiver from Bowling Green, who recently took a visit. I don't know if I take him over him just because Tyrone has a chance to be a number 1 wide receiver. So this is going to be something interesting to watch. But again, one thing that we're seeing here is Oklahoma is dipping into the transfer portal for a wide receiver really hard. The question is, who else could they potentially be going after as a wide receiver in the transfer portal outside of just these guys? Well, the first one you got, I've talked about it before, CJ Williams, the really high 4-star, top 75 player in the country in the 2022 class, 6'2", 190-pound, probably 200 now that he's been at the USC program. So he's probably put on a little bit of weight, a little bit of strength. From Santa Ana, California. One of the things that you get with CJ Williams is a lot of people are comparing him to Keenan Allen from the Los Angeles Chargers. But he has great blocking ability, really natural when you watch him play, especially in high school. And then, he's got a really good frame. So if he's able to put on, a little bit of strength, a little bit of mass, assuming that he hasn't, right? He's definitely going to be a weapon that you can utilize downfield. And he's got, I would say, about average height for a wide receiver. He's not one of those tall 6'5", 6'7" guys that you're going to be looking for downfield. But I think he's about on par with a lot of the other wide receivers. So I'd like to see Oklahoma maybe go after a guy like that, someone extremely talented. Listen, when I look at where he was at the University of Wisconsin the other day. I believe that was yesterday, actually. So he was at the University of Wisconsin. So we'll just have to follow and see where maybe he will end up. Additionally, UCF has a couple of really good wide receivers that I really like and would like to see Oklahoma go after. The first one is another wide receiver that I would be really interested to see Oklahoma go after would be Joey Gatewood. He is the 6'4", about 230-pound wide receiver, so he's got some height to him. He originally committed to Auburn, but he followed Gus Malzahn out to UCF. Originally was a quarterback in high school out of Jacksonville, Florida. So, he's had a little bit of a transition period to get to the wide receiver position. But ultimately, he's in the portal again. He was a top 40 player in the country out of high school. So, this guy was definitely a highly recruited wide receiver that I think Oklahoma should just 100% go after. And then another top 40 player that I want to see Oklahoma go out there and attack is the former 4-star 6'1", 190-pound wide receiver Jordan Johnson out of St. Louis, Missouri. Again, another guy that he has average size at the position, so it's not overwhelming. Kind of like I would even say Joey Gatewood at 6'4", he's above average. I would believe. And then he has a pretty similar build to most wide receivers in the league, and so again, those are guys that I would like to see Oklahoma potentially go after. Not saying that they are, not saying they are targeting them. I have no knowledge into this, but you have lots of other wide receivers that would be potentially good options. You have Bryson Green from Oklahoma State that entered the transfer portal. I know OU fans are pretty high on going out there and snatching the old Okie State people. You also got Quadarius Davis, who is at Jackson State. He's now in the transfer portal. And as we saw with Kevin Coleman, not necessarily are these wide receivers or these players from Jackson State wanting to follow Coach Prime out to Colorado. Agiya Hall is in the transfer portal, but I don't necessarily think he fits the culture of Oklahoma, so that's not necessarily someone I would throw out for the job. But I've talked about LaChristian Smith before. LaChristian Smith, he is 6'6", 205 pounds, originally committed to Ohio State, then ended up at Cincinnati. That's a kid that I think, again, with his size, he would fit in great, and he would be a great weapon on the outside. You've also got Colby Bowman from Stanford. I really like that kid. I think he would fit in well. So there's a lot of options out here that Oklahoma potentially could go take at this position. I don't think you necessarily need to jump on or panic if you don't get your first options right away, just because there's so many wide receivers in the portal right now that, I mean, if I was to sit here and go through all of them and then tell you which ones I liked, we would probably have a list of 20, and I have a feeling the staff probably has a longer list than me. So definitely something to keep your eyes on at the wide receiver position, and, there's going to be more wide receivers that hit the portal, especially, after spring camp and everything. So ultimately, I think Oklahoma will be fine. You're bringing in, I think, 3 or 4 wide receivers, because I think you got a couple preferred walk-ons, and then you've also got Jacquez Petaway, those guys as well. So I think Oklahoma will be fine at the wide receiver position going into the next season, especially with maybe bringing in some experienced wide receivers. So I don't think Oklahoma fans really have anything that we need to panic about. One more guy that I really think we should be paying attention to and see maybe if Oklahoma would go after him is Dante Thornton, originally from Oregon. I don't think I've seen him land anywhere, so that would potentially be an option. And then, Dante Cephas, he's crystal balled to go to Penn State, but I don't think we've had an official announcement for Dante Cephas either. So he is the 6'1", 175-pound wide receiver from Kent State, and yeah, I think Dante Cephas, he's talented. So something that we definitely need to be keeping our eyes on. Definitely something we should be watching. But go ahead, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. What wide receivers do you think Oklahoma should take out of the portal?